Hey friends, I have very little idea of what I have to say. It's been a while since I recorded, and I thought I'd share a little bit about what's been going on here. Nothing major, but it's been really challenging. Um, you know, Once upon a time I would have called it ascension symptoms. I'm not so much into that kind of verbiage anymore. As a matter of fact, it just seems yuck. Uh, but it is transitional. We are shifting. And so, maybe at least I need to find a new way to language that. So I've had issues with what seemed to be allergy, with rashes, nothing sinus and eyes wise, but with the skin. And that kind of thing. And it's it hasn't been just awful, but it's been fairly intense. Um, and tiredness. And for whatever reason, the pain has really been increased. And so I've let what little housework I do go along with everything else, so everything needs doing. And, but, you know, I just didn't care. And that's kind of where I am these days. I find when someone comes to visit, I find myself doing things and having an interest in things that if they weren't there wouldn't inspire me. For instance, I probably have in the neighborhood of $800 worth of, or more, findings for making such goodies. And it's a very strange thing because when I am engaged in stringing crystals and stones and beads and so on, I am truly in joy. It is a true delight for me. It inspires me, it gives me energy, and so on. And yet, I don't do it. It sits there until I have a friend visit, perhaps, who likes to string beads, and then we sit down together, and it's really intense, enjoyable, beautiful, I like these friends that come and stay for a month or two, and then you can really get into some things and explore them fully instead of trying to compress a lot in a short space of time. Not saying that we should feel limited around time. We are the masters of time. We just don't know it yet. And it's a mastery that's old and ancient, but that we chose to make it a forgotten mastery for a long time in our experiences in 3D. And a lot of us now have turned around, and instead of going out, we're headed back in. And so as we go, we pick up the gems, the jewels, the treasures that we laid down or put in safekeeping along the way. And so mastery of time is certainly one of them. Things may start happening backwards for you in time. Don't be scared. Just determine to be delighted instead, and curious, if you like. I mean, whatever, just no fear, okay? Fear is the biggest fun smasher I can imagine. Well, not necessarily, that I know of. Let's put it that way. So, it's been challenging. Now, we're almost into July. We have passed through the solstice safely. All the predictions about Planet X and all these horrible things that were due to be happening, including it appears Cliff High's estimations and others, not just Cliff, on the what he called the global coastal event, we can shift timelines, is my guess. When you have enough people aware of a certain timeline, of certain predictions, that determine, no thanks, I don't choose to experience that. Those of us in process of taking our mastery back like this can change things. We simply can. There need be no mega disasters at all. It's just the only reason for such things, the way I'm seeing things now, or from this particular perspective. I'm not saying it's the only one. But the only need for such things is to wake people up. We're the people wanting to wake up. So in behind the scenes, without our 5 to 7% conscious mind knowing about it, we're arranging these things. We're saying, bring it on. We want to wake up. We're tired of this. Whatever it takes, bring it on. That's part of what's behind the scenes there. Well, with so many of us already awakened and awakening, gets bigger every hour, much less every day. Where's the need for the mega disaster to shock people out of their complacency? If we can make a choice to set aside our complacency, to turn back inwards instead of all this outward focus, which is really backwards. Everything is created from within to the without, from the micro to the macro. And so we're so busy out there, carrying our signs and placards and trying to change the macro, that it's really challenging. Abraham Hicks has a cute little scenario saying to the people in the audience, so many of you come up here and you sit in the hot seat and you ask us, Abraham, I've jumped out of a plane and I don't have a parachute. What should I do? And when the momentum is like that, when the momentum is so strong, it's like, what Abraham says is, buck up, enjoy it, it'll be over in a little while. Or hold on, it'll be over in a little while. We've got to lighten up about death too. There's a whole lot of boogeymen around the fear of death that's been ginned up in us. It's not real. Death is more a joyous occasion than birth, my friends. I mean, from a certain perspective. So there's that. We've got, when you're looking at something that's in the macro, you're looking at something that's got a lot of momentum. It's already physical. It's already in motion. When you're looking at something inside of yourself, you are the creator. Source in you creates through you, in you, as you. And so it goes from the micro to the macro. It's your feelings. It's what's going on inside of you that is the origin of what's happening outside. And you are so totally 100% empowered over what's inside of you that it's amazing. I mean, you're not until you turn around from being so outward focused. As long as you're trying to live in the mind and take the spiritual walk, you've kind of hamstrung yourself. It's just hard that way. But when you go within, when you turn around and go within, everything shifts. And none of the old rules hold anymore. None of the old limits even exist. And while chances are you won't ditch them all in one fell swoop, I suppose you could, but we're here to have fun, okay? And so we want to do it as much as possible in a way that we would enjoy. Now, don't think that you know who and what you are in a way that your conscious mind would enjoy. That's not what I said. I said in a way that you would enjoy. And you are something so far beyond your conscious mind's ability to even imagine that it's unspeakable. And so I sing my song and I keep saying identify, and I'm doing it with you. I'm doing it with you. Identify with who and what you truly are, which is source. Nothing less, nothing but. How could anything exist that was outside of source? You tell me. How is that possible? Source isn't a being off somewhere in some corner of cosmos. You know? We all move and exist and have our being within that. And the more conscious we get, the more we participate in that as that. Fun, huh? And so we're here for fun, and we're bigger than we thought we were. Our little self has some really limited and restrictive ideas around what's fun. Your real self, totally different. For your real self, the mortgage collapse and the global coastal event and jumping out of a plane without your parachute is really not a big deal. Nothing's really a big deal. Come on, your source. Hello? How about we shift perspective? How about we do that right this nanosecond? What's stopping us? Nothing but us. Hey, this is fun. Okay, so I've shifted too. Can you feel it? Can you tell it? What are you doing for yourself that will eliminate your own shifting? Until I turned this camera on, I didn't know about this, that I am here now. I've got chills, you know? Well, you've made just as big a changes. See, that's what journaling showed me. I was making all these changes that I wasn't aware of because they were incremental. And all the conscious mind ever sees is the most recent increments, and it's not in tune with what's really, well, it is in tune with what's really going on, but only in a 3D superficial level. That's what it's for, and it does its job just fine. It's just that we're not only that, we've been convinced we are. We've been shepherded, herded, roped, and penned into the left brain. But nothing, the secret is that nothing is keeping us there but self. We are truly and totally empowered in the moment that we choose that for ourselves. There's nothing we can't shift. You start small though, you start inside, you don't start outside. And you stay the heck away from mind and its ideas and attitudes. That's where you're going to find fear and depression and anxiety and blah, blah, blah. It's not you. You are source. Now, can you imagine source being in fear? Hello. It's an experience. And it's actually something we wanted. One day we'll wake up and realize we never experienced anything we didn't choose. It's just that the bigger us is doing the choosing. And somehow we have thought that we got distanced from that. We didn't. But being creators, as long as we thought we were, then we were. Being creators is a big responsibility. You know, we take responsibility for our life. It's huge. Totally huge. So, another little thing that I noticed. I have a little collection here of crystals, and most all of them have magnets on them because I like to go for the electromagnetic, and the crystal gives me the electro, and I work to find a balanced magnet that will suitably enhance the crystal and vice versa. And in order to try to neaten things up around here, I tuck these in a little drawer. Now, they're in a drawer that's right on my coffee table. I've got a little 4-drawer file thing. You know, they open and close. It's not open. And it's to make things neater, right? And yet I discovered that when I put them in there, I never used them again. I never took them out. I never did anything with them. And it's the same with these things. I don't know that you can see these. They're so pretty, but I think I don't have the lighting right. It's got opal. I guess they've mixed it in with glass. I don't know what they've done. It's a man-made thing using natural stones, but I've got a whole bunch of these. They were crafted by the Maya. I bought them through that Maya Magic site. They have a sale now and then, and it's funny because of course I could string them myself, but my joy is to do what I feel like doing when I feel like doing it, and so I buy what they create. And I put those in that drawer. And it's been months now, and I haven't worn them since. So I'm in a funny space where I'm noticing, I mean, you've heard out of sight, out of mind. It's like, oh my God, out of sight, out of my life. There's just not a caring. There's more presence inside and less presence outside, maybe. I don't know how to say it. I'm just living it. We don't have books for these things, you know. The closest I come a lot of times is Adyashanti. Seems to be pretty good as a book for these things, as someone who, whatever it is, seems to have been there and done that, and have something worthwhile to offer. He woke up when very young. I think he started waking up in his mid-20s. A bit unusual, since most of us, it seems like about the time 50 rolls around, we're putting it together. And it's feeling really good, by the way. To you youngsters out there that think we're so very old, wait till you get here. You will find these. You know, they call them the golden years, but that doesn't cover it. It's awesome. Totally awesome. I'm so happy to be me, you know. I really am. And I'm really wealthy, in spite of what the bank account or anything else might say. See, nothing else outside matters anymore. I think it's a big part of the shift that we can enjoy and we can experience what's going on around us and what we're doing, what we're seeming to do, what's being done where we are. But I don't know what to call it. It's not exactly a detachment. We're here, we're present. But there's a level of caring. There's a level of, like, we used to be puppets on strings, that we had our strings pulled by all kinds of stuff in 3D. And it's like those strings have been cut. And nothing has the power to pull on us anymore. All of everything we are rises from within and settles there too. And so the world has no more power over us except what we grant it. And it's just a really different kind of space to occupy. Things on the outside look as they always looked. It's very strange. All the changing goes on inside. And the thing is, things on the quote-unquote outside, there's nothing outside of the self. We contain everything. And if you want to use your mind to give you a helping hand with this, just think of a fractal and how you make a change in one spot and it's instantly everywhere. It's all just one, or quantum entanglement. So things on the outside are not truly seen by us when we're resident in mind, particularly left brain. Right brain's a little different. But when we're the typical left brain experiencers of life, we don't see the radiance that's there. we don't get the communications. We don't realize that all life is sentient, and not only sentient, but it's conscious and it's communicating with us. We don't hear it. We walk by as if we had all our senses stuffed with cotton and blindfolded and all the rest. We see on a very superficial level. Well, now we're discovering inner senses, other chakras. You know, you've got 5 of them above the body's head. Other senses, other ways of perceiving, other angles of perception. When looked at through these different lenses, oh my God, we see what was there all along that we never saw before. I guess it's not perceivable. You know, it might be that we're experiencing it on 5D or something. I don't know. There's lots of different ways to language what's going on. I think the important part is just to be aware of the experience of it. Come back to yourself. Leave other people alone. Get out of their business. You know, you've got more than enough to entangle you for the rest of your life and then some. The rest of your body's life. And maybe that's enough. Talk to you again soon. Issues with what seemed to be allergy, with rashes, nothing sinus and eyes wise, but with the skin. And that kind of thing. And it's you know, it hasn't been just awful, but it's been fairly intense. And tiredness. Hey friends, I have very little idea of what I have to say. It's been a while since I recorded, and I thought I'd share a little bit about what's been going on here. Nothing major, but it's been really challenging. And for whatever reason, the pain has really been increased. And so I've let what little housework I do go along with everything else, so everything needs doing. And, but, you know, I just didn't care. And that's kind of where I am these days. Challenging. You know, once upon a time I would have called it ascension symptoms. I'm not so much into that kind of verbiage anymore. As a matter of fact, it just seems yuck. But it is transitional. We are shifting. And so, you know, maybe at least I need to find a new way to language that. So I find when someone comes to visit, I find myself doing things and having an interest in things that if they weren't there wouldn't inspire me. For instance, I probably have in the neighborhood of $800 worth of, or more, findings for making such good